Okay, anyways, let's get started then. So, I have a question. Do you ever get bored? Sometimes when you wake up on your day off, are you terrified of having the freedom to do whatever you like? Having the possibility to do everything, yet not knowing where to start? Caveat. It goes without saying that this question is not applicable to the parents among us, like our friend who just showed up. Anyways, having so many choices available and no guide to help you pick one can be just as unsettling as having no freedom of choice at all. For this reason, performing artists may be seen as extraordinary humans, grossly overstated. Every morning, each and every performing artist knows exactly what they have to do and exactly what her or his day is going to be like. For example, if we consider the daily life of a ballerina, then one might assume that her day revolves around a ballet class in the morning and watching over her slender figure by a strict regimen and diet. For performing musicians, her or his day is probably scheduled around the so-called practicing of their instrument. A musician's practicing is more akin to a monk's recitation of his prayer book than it is to the practicing of a foreign language. Her or his days on earth are spent developing a relationship with their instrument in a kind of voluntary, solitary confinement. The performing musician probably develops a more intimate relationship with her or his instrument than she or he will with any other human being. Unlike lawyers who only spend an exorbitant amount of time studying during law school, the performing musician practices with that same vigor long before they enter a superior level music conservatory. Musicians judge the aptitude of other musicians based on how many hours per day they practice, or as some call it, woodshed. Though perhaps rare, 8 hours spent practicing per day is not out of the question. Thus, today's social distancing is in no way a foreign concept to the daily life of a musician. Perhaps it is the most challenging and most rewarding part of her or his entire life. So, you maybe are asking, what does a musician achieve by persisting with a life predicated on such hard yet delicate work? Tonight, master violist Marc Sabbah is here to show us. Marc?
Thank you so much, Simeon, for that introduction. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. I guess before I get started, I want to play a little piece for you to introduce myself musically. So let's do that.
That's just lovely. So Marc, tell us, so you're playing a viola. This is the same as a violin or a little bit different, or what is this instrument?
Well, what I just played for you was a bourrée from Johann Sebastian Bach, actually for cello, for solo cello, but we play it on viola. And this is the viola, ladies and gentlemen. This is the what I call the better half of the violin. The violin is a little bit smaller and the cello is much bigger. And this is really the kind of the mid-range instrument. I find it's the closest instrument to the human voice, and it has a very, sometimes can have a very smoky quality and also a very philosophical quality. So it's an instrument that I was attracted to from a young age.
So this looks like a masterpiece of art. I mean, hearing you play is incredibly moving. Looking at this instrument, I mean, it's just magnificent. So tell me, where can I get one? At Walmart?
uh, each instrument is handcrafted. They are handmade and each one is different. No two are alike. That's what's so unique about instrument building and instruments in general. Violas especially are all different sizes. Most violins and cellos come in there's quite a standard shape and some geometry that goes along with it. But the viola is kind of the forgotten child. And that's why it's kind of a negotiation between the player and the instrument to get the best sound of it. You can buy one of these at online if you want, but mostly at a dealer, someone who's trained in selling and building musical instruments.
And tell me, where did you get yours?
This one was, well, I bought this in New York City about 16 years ago, and it was built in 1951 in Chicago by a German American named Leroy Geiger. And it's funny because I don't know if you can see inside, but inside the viola, there's actually a label. It's hard to see. Well,
Okay.
There's a label inside, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's a fantastic instrument.
It's fantastic, and when you play, it's even more fantastic. But you bring me to the next point. You said you bought it in New York City. Tell us. Where do you come from? Tell us about this history a little bit.
I'm born and raised in New York City, in the United States of America, and I moved to Europe when I was 18 years old. Oh, that's me. And I studied a little in a few different local music schools. And when I was a child, my mother used to bring us, my sister and I, to classical music concerts. That's her. My sister,
And here's your father.
Father in the middle.
He's got a great smile like you do, so I imagine he's a fun-loving guy.
Thank you. It runs in the family. And my mom brought us to concerts, and I saw a violinist playing on stage, and I pointed to the violinist. I said, "Mommy, I want to play that." So from a very young age, with friends and in a music school every Saturday, we would go play music and take lessons, and they sacrificed a lot so that we could go study with some of the best people around the world and in festivals.
So, but tell me, Mark, you said your mother brought you to a concert, not your father. Why is that?
No, my mother was the big classical music fan, and my father was more of a blues and rock kind of fan. So at home,
so he'd take you to like a bar to smoke cigars and.
Oh, I mean, it's funny you say. We went to Stevie Ray Vaughan concert, and with my mom we would go see. She would play Mozart and Bach and Beethoven and Tchaikovsky at the house, and my dad would play B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, you name it. He played it. So my sister and I had a great balance of the two worlds, and that really makes a good musician.
But so that's, I mean, that's it must have been a lively house. That's really wonderful. But tell me, so does your dad feel like he lost or something because you guys went completely in classical music and not into rock music?
No, he didn't lose because he taught us how to play guitar.
Oh, so you play guitar too?
I play a little bit of guitar, not as good as viola, but I dabble.
Wow. Okay. And so tell us. So then you went to this concert. You liked the violin, and then eventually you start. What was it like when you were a young boy? What time? How old did you start playing?
Well, for my third birthday, my mother showed up with a violin, and that was my God! That was my third birthday gift. And
so I don't think I was walking at that time, and you had a violin in your hands.
Well, it wasn't a real violin at the time. They give you a small box with a kind of neck, and inside the box there's candy. So after 1 year of kind of perfecting how to hold it, you know, and the position and everything, after 1 year you could smash the box and eat the candy. So that's how they really got us.
Like a piñata. So I guess it worked though. Can you show us how you hold it again?
Sure. So this is actually called a chin rest, which was invented in the 19th century by Louis Spohr. And what it does is you hold it, actually this shoulder rest, this piece of extra added, you know, kind of padding rests on your pectoral or your breastplate here, and you're basically you use the weight of your head and the strength of your body, and you're constantly in motion. It should never really be stuck or stiff, and this is what allows us to play. And we use the bow, which is actually made from a Brazilian wood called Pernambuco. I think Pernambuco is the place. And this is actually the horsehair.
That's horsehair.
On the tail,
wow.
Yeah. And there are a few different woods. This is ebony, Pernambuco, and you have some mechanisms here as well. This turns, and there's a screw inside, and actually brings this piece forward and backwards, tightening the hair. So.
And so why does it tighten and not tighten? What is that?
Well, there are a lot of mechanics involved. When the hair is taut, then there's a bit more tension. When it's too loose, I'll just give you an example. It takes a second to undo, but if you see closely, it's actually a screw. Bear with me. Here we go. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
A screw, and what happens is this comes
Oh
out.
my, there's the horsehair.
There's actually a little screw here where it goes, and a slot for it to slide down.
And that's lovely. And now this bow, you call it, right? Yeah. That's as equally as complex and beautiful as the viola.
Absolutely. There are often bow makers and there are often instrument makers. Really two separate worlds. Normally they don't cross. The person who makes the bow never makes the viola, and the viola never makes the bow.
And so tell us about what happens if you play the bow. When you were playing before, it kind of had a more singing tone. What's it like when you don't use the bow? Because they seem like two separate instruments.
Like just using my fingers? It's called pizzicato.
Okay. So that's kind of like then more like a guitar sound then.
Exactly. It's more of a percussive sound. And there's a lot of fun techniques that you can use on the viola or the violin. And this is called the bridge. And the closer you play to the bridge, the more overtones and more harsh the sound. And the further away you play the bridge, the more of a kind of pan flute sound. I can give you an example. So this is playing right in the middle. This is the sweet spot. But if I play close to the bridge, it'll get kind of hard rock.
So your dad likes that sound.
Dad loves that. It can sound almost like one of these Peruvian flutes.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of different techniques that you can use to produce different colors and different sounds. Sorry, it's a
And tell us what's can you show us some of the techniques applied in some music?
Sure. Let's see. I'll play the end of the Capriccio by Henri Vuitton.
Wow.
So it really adds, you can really add a lot of color, a lot of atmosphere to any piece.
I'm speechless.
Thank you.
That's lovely. That's, I mean, this is exactly what we're trying to do with this webinar is show people that they're not alone in their houses. No, social distancing won't stop us. And it's thanks to you. Your beautiful music comes right through the Wi-Fi, through the internet. Wow.
Does it sound okay, everybody? Can you hear it through the microphone? Yeah? Okay, great. I'm glad. There's another fun technique that's called flageolet, harmonics. Or basically you place your finger lightly on the string. You don't push completely, but you just and this gives a very almost whistling, beautiful, beautiful quality that is used quite often by many composers.
And so how exactly do you make that? It's a beautiful sound.
I'll show you close up. This is when you would play a real note.
Okay.
But lift your finger and barely touch the string. And you just get the octave.
Just gives you goosebumps.
And then you can also do artificial harmonics. Often
That's beautiful.
Often used in movies to add a bit of atmosphere.
That's just lovely. And Mark, tell us, what is this thing that you do that's so beautiful? I mean, you have this technique, and I mean, it looks like it's a part of you. It looks like Marc Sabbah is incomplete without this instrument there. I mean, it's, a lovely, goes great together. It looks lovely. And tell us, when you do this, you're moving your hand like that. What is that? Sounds lovely.
There's an Italian word called vibrato, to vibrate, vibrare. And what we do is we vibrate a little bit the note to make it resonate just a little bit more, to give it a bit more help. But you can use it as a tool. It shouldn't always be there. There's also beauty in no vibrato. So for example, it can be very beautiful. Or just a bit of color. So musicians often talk in colors, or we try to use metaphors and we try to use imagery to get our point across, especially when we're communicating with other musicians. So when we say just add a little color, what does that mean? Can it be a bit more purple? Can it be a bit more black, or a little bit more red? Can it be warmer? Can it be colder? These are all terms we speak about.
Wow. Well, I guess you can understand then why it takes so much time to master an instrument like that. There are quite a few things going on there.
There are, and it's I think more importantly than just mastering the instrument is getting to know yourself. That for me is the biggest challenge, is knowing your body, knowing your soul, your heart, and actually to become a good musician, you need stimulus. You need to go out for walks and smell flowers and look at the sky and have friends and laugh and cry. You need all these things to really translate it on the instrument.
And tell me, so I understand that you grew up in New York City, and then you had a lot of success right away, that you were admitted to the Juilliard School, the most prestigious school probably in the world. And then you said, kind of, it wasn't your thing there in New York City, or I don't know, the place you were born, you didn't feel so much at home, so you wanted to go abroad, and then you were admitted to the Amsterdam Conservatory, another, probably the most prestigious conservatory there in Europe. Tell us about this. Tell us about this journey.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to live and play music in Europe. I was accepted to the pre-college program of the Juilliard School, which is a very renowned music school, and also dance and theater. And while I learned a lot there, I felt that it really wasn't a place for me, and Europe was really, really calling me. Europe is the birthplace of classical music. And what better place to be
But tell me, so this, when you say that's not the place for you, I mean, you win already, you get a place in the most famous school in the world, and you say, nah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I just I'd had enough of New York City in general. I mean, 9 million people crammed into one space, and everyone kind of climbing on top of each other to get work, and it was a bit too much, and I needed to slow down. And while the education was very good, I wasn't myself there.
Very
So
brave, a brave decision to make,
it
to know
was
when, okay, because other people are saying the opposite, and you say, no, it's for me, it's not the right thing.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I left when I was 18 years old. So
18 years old.
yeah.
Oh my Lord.
So so that was really the first step to becoming a professional, a real professional. And
Like you
actually,
said, getting to know yourself, knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want.
yes, yes. And Europe is certainly the place to do that.
So
Uh,
tell me, and you, so 18 years old, you said bye to your family, bye to your homeland, everything, and you moved to Amsterdam. What waited for you there? How was it? What was it like when you got there?
you waited for me there. That's where we met.
I
We met in
remember.
Amsterdam.
I remember
Yeah.
it's still my fondest memories.
We had a good time. Amsterdam was at the time, and still is, in my opinion, the center for Baroque music. Was a center for contemporary music, experimental music, and they had a very strong classical tradition in Romantic and classical. So it was also ideally placed in Europe. Um, and I don't know, when I went there to do the audition and I saw the school, it looked like Hogwarts. If you've seen the movie Harry Potter, it looks like Hogwarts. It's a beautiful cast. At the time, it was on Von Baerlestraat, which was actually at the time was a bank. Some people's nodding, so you must know what I'm talking about. It's a magnificent building that I spent 2 years in, and the whole city is it's the most beautiful place I've ever been to. So the city alone gave me quite a lot of inspiration, and the culture and the history, and I was challenged because there were very good people there, and I think the competition was necessary to evolve.
And so tell me, so that's funny you say that you leave New York City and then you come to Amsterdam and there's a lot of competition. So, but I imagine you must have been with 18 years old, you were one of the younger people in the studio.
I was one of the younger ones. I mean, I was a freshman, and there were some older kids, and when you first enter conservatory, you think pardon my French, but you think you're hot shit. You think you know everything. You think you're the best, and then you slowly realize that there's so much to learn. And then when you finish conservatory, then you think, all right, now I'm hot shit. Now I'm the best. You get out of it, and you realize no one's hiring you. You don't have a job. So it's really one important harsh realization after the other, and over time
Wow.
you learn how to find your trail.
And tell me because, it sounds like, I mean, you work so hard since you've been with 3 years old, you've been working so hard. And then on top of that, you get refusal after refusal, with so much competition. I mean, what keeps you going? Where's the special thing? What keeps, I mean, if you can tell me, I'm sure it's a
That's
secret.
a great question. No, that's a great question. I think you're gonna get mostly no's in your life. I think there are some older people here. They've probably lived through this. You probably get 95% of the time people will say no, right? But it's that 5% that say yes that really keep you going, and believing in what you do, believing in your voice and who you are. And it's not easy for everybody. When people say they're not interested in what you have to offer, sometimes it can really set you back and hurt. So I would recommend for anyone struggling or having doubts about their talent or their voice to just keep going. To just keep going. It's easy to say, but I always loved what I did. So I never felt like I was working too much. There were times where I was really working, and when that happens, I get sick, actually. I remember when I was preparing for a competition in Munich, I had put so much stress on myself that I ended up losing weight, and I had stomach problems, and I was so panicked that I wasn't myself. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. And music is for pleasure. You should enjoy what you do, no matter what you do. So ever since then, I kind of changed the way I thought about about work.
Oh, it's funny that you say, as a side note, I'd like to point out, you say, oh, well, it's easy to say, but it seems to me that you're the proof of this. You've lived through this. You've made it happen.
Well, thank you. I'm still making it happen. Don't worry. I still get a lot of no's all the time, or just no response.
Well, we need you to keep going because what you do is really important.
I'm working on it. I'm definitely working on it, and I'm enjoying
So
the
tell us,
journey.
what is there music you play that whenever you feel kind of down or you feel whatever, is there kind of a music you like to play or you like to listen to?
Yeah, it is. I mean, oh, you mean that I play on my instrument?
Well, we'd love to hear that.
Um, I love playing Bach.
Mhm.
Um, because every time I play Bach, it's always different. It's never the same twice. But would you like me to play something?
We'd love
Is
that.
that what you're hinting at? Let's try. Let's
I'm
try.
not alone. I know that much.
This is this one everybody knows, hopefully. I'll stop there, but there's more.
Wow. Wow. So this is yeah, I could see that. I could see that. That's a good pick me up. That's lovely. That is so this in this music it has I mean it's like I can hear you've lived with this. I mean this music is like your companion. I mean this that you play. This is like something very special to you.
Definitely, definitely. And that's actually why I dedicated a portion of my new CD out just to the first suite of Johann Sebastian Bach. And especially in these times of isolation, um, playing music written for one instrument is very fitting because we're all alone. And you play this music anyway when you're alone. Sometimes I find that this music shouldn't even really be performed. It can be so intimate. It's something you share with with the universe on a very personal level at home, and then you have to go on stage and play it for a bunch of people, which can be very very exposing. But I think that's the important part of being an artist, is being able to get over that boundary and really show who you are
Uh-huh.
with music. So this is definitely something I enjoy playing.
It's well it seems like yeah to us that it's like you're showing us yourself and it's like you're more yourself. When you're playing it's like it's lovely. I mean to experience. Mark, we have a question here from Miss Melanie Weigel.
Hi, Melanie.
Are you playing as a soloist? Melanie, can you come in or write us or
In an orchestra?
or speak to us or something? Yeah, what's your question exactly?
Maybe perhaps as a like playing concerti and stuff like that.
Play it or an orchestra.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So you're talking about Marc's professional work, Melanie? Yes. Okay. So Marc, so tell us tell us about your life now.
Yeah, so for the last 8 years, I was a solo violist of the National Orchestra of Belgium. When I was 22 and a half or 23, so more than 9 years, oh my gosh. I did an audition, that's in Israel, but I did an audition for the National Orchestra of Belgium. I had no money, I had no job. I was right after school and after conservatory, and I took this audition and I won the job, and it really changed my life. This is us having
So
fun.
the National Orchestra, so the premier orchestra in Belgium, and
Yeah.
and you are the #1 violist.
Well, there are a few of us, so we kind of rotate. And actually, this year I took a sabbatical year. I took the whole year off to do more solo, to do more teaching, to find myself a little bit more. I found that having spent 8 and 9 years in an orchestra, I've had enough. I think in some careers, five years is already considered a whole career, and they move. So I was done. I still have to tell them whether I'm coming back or not in September, which is dangerous because of Corona, because there's so much uncertainty for artists like me, especially with all our concerts being canceled. But yes, I'm a soloist. I'm also now invited to play with other orchestras as a soloist and also in the orchestra. But I'm mostly focusing on a career that's involving recitals and teaching, and I have a duo with piano, so a lot of solo viola, like this. This is
This is your new CD.
Yes, it's
Lovely.
called A Private Life.
Mm-hmm.
And A Private Life basically talks about, it's actually one of my compositions are here, pieces written for one instrument, and what that does to a composer and what that does to a player, and how it shines a little bit of a window into the soul of the composer. So, especially today.
Thank you very much, Melanie. We really appreciate that question. Please, everyone else, feel free to write a question, and we'll get back to you right away. This is the whole purpose of this, so we really appreciate that. Thank you, Melanie. So there we have it.
So, cover of my.
So we feel kind of very privileged to have you in this situation, Marc, because we're getting this is like the recording plus, because we get all the other things plus the music, and I mean it's lovely to it's lovely to hear, it's lovely to know.
Thanks.
And I can kind of I like Melanie's question a lot, because it asks kind of about two different roles, right? When you're in the orchestra, you're kind of, tell me if I'm wrong, you're kind of fitting in, you're kind of a team member, but you got to can't just put yourself out there. Whereas when I hear you play now, it's really, I mean, this seems like the most natural thing for you. I mean, to really, share that privacy, that intimacy.
Yeah, definitely. It is a tough role playing in orchestra, especially as a soloist in the front. You have to know how to blend with the group, and at the same time, when you have a solo, to pop out, and not only just pop out, but pop out as a soloist, as if someone, it's quite a hard process to get the job. So you have to be quite extraordinary to get it, and there's a lot of pressure around that as well. But I'm much happier doing what I'm doing now.
And tell us though, but this goes back to the this goes back to this thing you're talking about, those competitions, and the kind of maybe seems to be what you dislike more about music, about that, like in the Juilliard school, all of this stress. And but you've like we were talking about, you've held on, and you've gone through it, and you've won some very important, prestigious competitions. Is that not right?
It is. It is. And the reason I won those competitions is mostly because I was enjoying what I was doing.
Okay.
And I was first prize winner of the Amsterdam National Viola Competition. And through that, and some things in the Ukraine as well, and something. But those really, for me, they're things you have to do as a kid. They're things you have to do when you're young.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, I think, is developing yourself as a human being
Mm-hmm.
and living life. That's really how you become a great musician.
And
And
Mark, but tell us what, so, I mean, you tell me, okay, with 18, you went to Amsterdam, and then you eventually, you win this #1 prize there. I mean, it's like Julius Caesar, I came, I saw, I conquered. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, what did your parents say?
oh, they were very proud. They were very proud, and I was very proud of myself. And I think it's important to get that little boost, that little bit of recognition from the public that says that yes, we do like what you do. You do have a future, and these things, I guess, are important for us. But it's not always easy. What can I say? It's a piece of machinery at the end of the day. It's handmade, and it reacts to temperature, it reacts to pressure, it reacts to humidity. And there are all these different factors that can make it so that when you wake up one morning and you pick up the instrument, it does not want to cooperate. And you just
This instrument, your viola, it doesn't want to cooperate?
doesn't want to cooperate. So there are many factors. I mean, you have strings that are built by other people. You have one bridge that's quite, it's just a piece of wood holding all this tension. At any point that this could crack, or this could open, or something is uncomfortable. There's so many different factors, and it's really a relationship you have to negotiate with your instrument. Some days it's just not happening. You don't feel.
So you pick it up each day, and it's a new start. You've got to start the relationship and see how you're doing. Good morning.
In a way, yes. I was speaking to someone about marriage recently, and they said that every day is a struggle. Every day you have to work on being nice to each other, keeping it interesting, and it's learning about each other. And it's no different with actually my longest relationship of all, which is with the viola. And even though I've had it for 16 years, there's some days where I wake up and it's not working. The notes aren't coming out, and some things aren't working. It's kind of like waking up in the morning and going for a shower, and you turn on the water and it's only cold water. You can't get a hot shower. And it's rare. Luckily, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. We've all been there. So normally you want to take a shower. It's nice and warm and it's comfortable, but occasionally it'll be very uncomfortable. You just have to take the shower and go through it. So.
But like you said, you're in it. You're faithful. You're in it for the long haul. You're not going to say goodbye. You keep going. Huh?
Okay.
That's it's very inspiring.
Thank you. I hope so.
So we have a question here from Nancy Negus. I'm sorry if I say that wrong, Nancy. When social isolation is over, what are your performance plans?
Oh, good question. Thanks for the question, Nancy. Well, I had quite a lot of concerts that were canceled. I had concerts that were canceled until August. So, which means, thousands of euros of money not had, which is not easy for a freelance musician. When this is over, I'm probably going to go into turbo mode and really organize as much as I can, because I also organize concerts. I have a festival. And I think that the world is going to respond positively when this is over. They're going to want culture. They're going to want to go out. They're going to want to stimulate themselves again. So I have a few concerts in September already, in October. I have the next season planned a little bit, but we'll see. Nobody knows.
So you're kind of in standby right now.
I'm very standby right now.
Very standby. Okay.
Which is
Mark, now tell us something else. I have heard that you are an artistic director. What is that?
Yes, I am one of the founding members of a chamber music festival that takes place once a year in Belgium in a castle. It's called Casteau, which is a combination of the Dutch word kasteel and the French word chateau. So Casteau, and I put together a few musicians that I get along with really well, philosophically, musically, and we put on a great show. A weekend of music, of food, wine, drinks, and it all takes place in a beautiful castle. This is it. This
Oh,
is
wow.
this was our first edition. It was a huge success. People love it. And it takes place in the Botanical Gardens in Meise. This is actually in Carnegie Hall in New York, but this
Also,
is,
you played in Carnegie Hall too.
I had the pleasure
Wow.
of playing Carnegie Hall. I won a competition there. That's actually the last time I was in the States. That was in 2016, I think. So.
Mark, we have another question here from Jad, 1933. Who's your teacher at Juilliard?
I had two teachers at Juilliard. I started with Kenji Bunch, and then I moved to Toby Apple. And I'll just answer a follow-up question. In Amsterdam, I studied with Sven Teppel and Nobuko Imai, who's quite a famous Japanese violist. She's fantastic. But I also studied with Honor Bilsma, a great Baroque cellist, and Marjolein Dispa. And I really tried to get as many lessons as possible from as many people as I could.
So tell us, what do you take away from these people? You know, because I mean, it's like, I take it that, you won this position in Belgium when you're 22 years old. I mean, to me, you're already a wise man. What is it like? What do you take from these? And from these other people? I mean, what is it like? Because I imagine they've been had a much longer career than you. What do you take from these people? How do you interact with them?
That's a great question. I think everyone is like a sponge, and we all kind of soak up what we want, and when we squeeze it out, there's always a bit left. You know, we take in information that resonates with us, and we leave information that doesn't resonate with us behind. And I've learned things in the strangest places from the strangest people, in the most in circumstances you wouldn't believe. I usually, when I teach, actually, I learn much more from my students than they learn from me, probably. So teaching itself is an art form, and to spot what the student needs and exactly what to say to get the click in the head, the light bulb to go off, and to fix the problem is really an art form. I hope that answers your question.
I think so. I wanted to say, or ask you more appropriately. When you were younger, did you think you would become a teacher?
Yes.
So this was because it seems to me like you must be a great teacher. I mean, you really have all of those. Seems to me like those kind of capabilities to really communicate with the other person. And
I would never call myself a great teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm learning. You know, I think we're all learning as we go along, and I would like to think that my students get better. I mean, that the real proof of a good teacher is that your students improve.
Well, here we've got you with some young people. They seem to be having a great time.
The kids, yeah, definitely. Actually, I learned something. I learned a little bit more about happiness and joy from these girls. So, you know, you can learn things everywhere you go.
Oh, yeah. Wow! And tell us about this. What is this exactly?
I was in the north of Italy, playing a festival, playing a concert, and one woman asked me if I wanted to come play for the kids in the creche, in the kindergarten or the daycare, and I said, yeah, sure. So I in my broken Italian, I did all the different animals, and I played them on the violin. I had a violin there, and they loved it. They sat patiently, and they were very well behaved, and they loved it. And I spent a good hour there with them.
Wow.
So that was.
So, and tell us, your audiences normally are they like, how is it different when you're in Italy or you're in Belgium or in the United States? Do you notice a big difference?
I don't notice a big difference. I notice. I mean, I think if the artist is honest with his interpretation and his presentation, then the people will react naturally. You know, if I'm natural, they'll be natural. If I'm stiff, they'll be stiff. You know, if I'm too relaxed, they'll be too relaxed. I think the public performer relationship is a mirror, actually, and they mirror me, and I mirror them. I need a great public to play well. You know, if public is opening candies and telephones going off and coughing and talking and getting up and flashes, forget it. It's not going to work. This is a relationship. So.
And what is it like? What's that when you walk on stage, when you hear the applause, I mean, this is something that's very normal for you, I guess, but it's kind of like the opposite of being at home and practicing and, what's it like? What is that for you?
For me, it's the pinnacle. It's exactly what you have been working for. It is where you get to be yourself 100%, and you only get one shot, to make a good impression. So you have to, in a way, you turn off a part of your brain and you just become very instinctual. And I feel most comfortable on stage. I really do. So, not always, but more and more with time and with age. Because at the end of the day, people are there to have an amazing experience. They're not there to judge. And when you're younger, you always think they're judging me. That they're listening for my notes and how I look. But at the end of the day, no, they want to feel something. That's the reason we go to concerts. That's the reason we listen to music, is to feel something. And I think I have the honor and the pleasure of just being the middleman, of being that communicator in between public and composer, which is also why I've started composing quite a bit myself. I feel that I can express myself even better with my own music.
Could we hear some?
You can. I just wrote a piece actually during this time. I have not been very productive during the lockdown, because it's not easy to be inspired when you have nothing to work for. So I wrote a piece. It's a sarabande, which is actually considered a very erotic dance at one point by the Catholic Church, and it was outlawed and then it was reinstated. And it seems to be one of my favorite dances that Bach writes, and this is a little sarabande I wrote for the coronavirus.
Wow, that is deep. So tell us, this is What's it been like for you? What's it like there in Brussels during this Corona?
I wouldn't know. I'm inside all the time.
So you haven't been outside. You haven't been talking with other people. You've just been
I mean,
been locked up.
I went out. The only time I go out is really to go to the supermarket, and that's really technically the most dangerous place to go these days. I don't really go for long walks in the park or anything like that. I have a garden. I have two balconies. I garden. I like my vegetables. I cook.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm happy actually at home. I'm quite comfortable. The only thing I miss is going out for a good restaurant and a good beer with my friends. Social life is important. So
Absolutely. And oh, we have here from Nancy Nagus. Again, I'm sorry, Nancy, if I'm saying your name wrong. Very nice piece, Mark. You can hear the isolation.
certainly, certainly. Yeah, it's a bit hard to write uplifting, happy music at this time. But
Mhm. Is it there? I'm in Vienna right now. It's been kind of quiet here. There in Brussels, has it been really affected by
yeah, we have
coronavirus?
over about 33,000 confirmed cases and
Oh my God.
a few thousand dead. Yeah, it's really ugly. What can I say? But I'm American. I'm from the United States, so we have it really bad in the States. And I mean, for now, we only see darkness. But I think at the end of this will shed a lot of light on what we need to do to make our country stronger and safer and protect our citizens, especially in the States. Um, but hey, I mean, we're still here and we still have to do things like this and continue with the culture. That's
Hmm.
that's worth fighting for. That's worth living for.
Hmm. And you see yourself as a musician. That's you are you're playing a role there.
I am playing. I'm trying. Yeah, I posted a few things on YouTube earlier, but I noticed that I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but YouTube has been flooded with all these different people posting videos, and there's some good stuff, but there's a lot of bad stuff. I realize, and I think we're just kind of saturated with all of it. So I try not to put too much, especially in this time. I don't want to be part of that wave. Also, a lot of people kind of taking advantage of this time to advance their own careers. Like, and I don't know. Maybe in this capitalist society, anything goes. But I don't want to really be associated with that. That's not
Mhm.
something that interests me. But that's a
Mark, so
discussion we can have
I,
another.
I just wanted to ask you. So at here at Vienna at 6 o'clock, everyone claps in honor of the medical emergency personnel. When
Yes,
do they do that in Brussels?
they do that in 1 minute. Would you all like to
In
come
1 minute.
and make some noise?
Yes, please.
Let's go say thank you. I think it's starting. Or we can start it if you'd like. I hope I don't lose you. Welcome to Brussels, 5th floor, sunset. This is where I
Oh,
live.
that's lovely.
Lovely. Let's make some noise, huh? Voila. Hey! It starts. Can you hear it? Woo! Woo! Can everybody hear it? Woo! I have my neighbors. Everyone's coming out on the balconies. No. Anyway.
Ouais, ouais.
Wow.
That's lovely, Mark.
Getting really loud.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
I don't know if you
That's
can.
lovely.
Can you hear it though?
Uh-huh. I can hear.
Le pita, là, tu veux faire quoi? Tu veux le faire cuire un peu ou pas?
Wonderful. No, it's wonderful.
That's lovely, Mark.
It's really, I think
Thank you so much. What a great experience.
Thank you.
So we have one more question
Cool.
from Famille Le Magne. Don't you feel lonely when you travel to play as soloist with different orchestra around the world, or do you usually already know musicians?
Great question. Often I do sometimes, you know, when you move from hotel room to hotel room, but I often try to meet people and go out for dinner or drinks with them. So it's a great opportunity to meet new people, make new friends. However, yes, sometimes it can be very lonely, and that's part of the job. That is part of the job. I think being alone a lot of the time makes being with friends and family that much sweeter.
Well, I have to say, you know, we really appreciate you being here, Mark, and we really appreciate you sharing your life with us and your hard work. So I think it's about time for us to close up. I wanted now, because I know that I, for one, want to stay in touch with you. What do we do, Mark, for everyone who wants to stay in touch with you? How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, very easy. I have a YouTube page with tons of videos. You're more than welcome to subscribe, sign up, listen to them at your whenever you want. I have a CD out, A Private Life. You can always contact me at Marc Sabbah Viola at gmail.com. We'll put it in the box. You can hear it on Spotify or iTunes. I'm on Instagram. You can find me. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me everywhere. So don't hesitate to contact me if you want.
There we are.
There it is.
MarcSabbah.com. Okay, so maybe, and if anyone forgets, they just go there.
Yeah, MarcSabbah.com, the website. My concerts are there. A bit more information about me, videos, how to get a CD. Everything is there. And don't hesitate to write me a word, a little message anytime you want. We got the time now, right? We're all stuck inside, so.
Okay. And Mark, how, when people listen to your CD, they go to Spotify and then they listen to the track, or they buy the track? How does it work?
I think they can stream the track. I mean, if they're a part of, if they have Spotify at home, then they can stream it. You can, of course, buy the entire album as you like. If you want an actual copy, if you'd like me to sign it with a little word, you can always send me an email, and we can do that. We can arrange that by email. I'm very open.
That's lovely. That's lovely. So we have there, so everyone, again, we have that in the chat box, marcsabbah.com. Put that in, marcsabbah.com. Everything you need to know. And Mark, what was the email address again?
Marc Sabbah Viola at gmail.com, all in one word.
Sabbahviola
Marc
at
Sabbah.
gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Follow
Okay,
me.
oh, and
You can follow me
have
on
some.
Marc Sabbah. And
That's perfect. Well, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for making this this crisis, for bringing us closer together. You know, so that we're better now. We're going to be better now and later than we were before. And this is thanks to you for sharing sharing your art, sharing your passion, sharing your life with us. Thank you.
thank you for having me. Thank you everybody involved, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was really very inspiring. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Be safe.
Thank you. So we have everybody, just to mention that we have our next event coming up next Wednesday here at the same time. Bernard Reichling, he is going to show us how he came from depression and from an unhealthy life to happiness and a very, very healthy lifestyle, all through fitness. He is a life coach.
Whoa.
Here we see him on, he was featured in Men's Health magazine, and he's clearly in good shape right now. I was thinking about calling him myself to get some tips, and he's coming to us straight from Amsterdam. We're looking forward to meeting him next week, and we look forward to seeing you there. So thank you, everyone. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to the production team. Most of all, thanks to you, the audience, for for members. You're not audience, you're members of this webinar. Thank you so much. without you, this just wouldn't be worth the while. So we thank you very much. We'll see you next week. And good night from Brussels. Good night from Vienna.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Marco.
Bye.
Thank you,
See you
Sven.
next week, hopefully.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask, I'm sorry, are you related to Bernhard?
Yes.
I was thinking.
Okay, because of the name or something.
Yeah, Reichling de Jong, right?
Yes. He's my son. Yes.
Oh, so nice, so nice. Thank you for joining. I saw you joined last week as well.
Yes, I did. Yes.
So nice.
I like it very much. It's really nice.
I'm glad, and I'm guessing we'll see you then next week as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. We'll be there.
Great. I look forward to it. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then next Wednesday.
Yes, you too.
See you
And
next
thank you very
Wednesday.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.